Here's an overview of the StorageCraft plugin pages. There's a plugin page for Shadow Protect SPX and a plugin page for StorageCraft Image Manager. And if the computer is running SP5, there'll be a plugin page for Shadow Protect 5 as well. Let's start with SPX. We see we have this machine is licensed. If it's not, you can enter the license key here and submit a license key to activate on the machine. Under backup jobs, you'll see a list of your backup jobs. Shows the status, the name of the job, the last backup start, the last time it finished, which volumes are being backed up, whether or not the last backup was okay, the status, success with VSS or without, the type of backup, what its current state is, and the next time it's going to run. A little bit more information down here as well. You can actually kick off incremental backup jobs right through here or full backup jobs. If we kick off an incremental backup job, this will send a command to the agent machine for it to perform a backup. So it does take some time for it to send the command to the agent machine, perform the backup, and then get the status back. So please be patient. As that happens, it usually takes a few minutes. You can check the status of the command under the Automation tab. You can see that this is the command that we just sent, and the command was sent successfully. On the plugin pages, to get the most up-to-date information, make sure to always hit the refresh button. And we see that it did start our backup, and the current state of our backup is that it's running. While we're waiting for that, if we move on, there's other operations you can do. You can create new backup jobs just like you would in SPX. You can set backup destinations, and you can see a full list of all the backup history in here as well. See that our backup completed. For Image Manager, very similarly, Image Manager no longer requires any licensing to do the basic operations of replication. So the licensing is typically unnecessary. We switch to the StorageCraft Image Manager view. We will see the source computer, the managed folder of backups that's being managed, how big the folder is, how much free space is left on the volume where the folder exists, the number of images, whether we have any verification, consolidation, or retention errors, and status of replication. As it shows here, I have one of two replication jobs that are out of date, which is why I see a red icon. If I expand replication targets, I see the C volume of this replication job. The most recent backup was last night at 10 p.m., but I have my threshold set to 4 hours. So if my replication is more than 4 hours out of date, it's going to show as out of date. Now, if I adjust this value by clicking on it and hit Save Threshold, and then refresh, I will see that the backup job now or the replication job shows that it's up to date. We also see that we have a retention error for this job, and if we click on this managed folder, or for this managed folder, and it gives us a little bit more detail under here about the errors and warnings happening with the managed folder. If we switch to a machine that is running Shadow Protect 5, always make sure to hit refresh. It's very similar in that we will see the status of the backup jobs. See the destinations, and we can see the backup history as well. The Shadow Protect SPX information is a little bit more complete, and we would highly recommend using Shadow Protect SPX, but there is still support here for Shadow Protect 5. Finally, we have a Tools menu Fleet Overview that will show us the status of everything Shadow Protect 5, SPX, and Image Manager in one view. Under Shadow Protect 5, we see the number of backup jobs and how many were last successful, 2 of 2. And then if we click on the tile, we will see last backup status, the client, the location, the computer, the ID of the computer, the name of the job, which volumes are being protected, the last job start, last success of any volume, and the last success of all volumes. So it's possible we could have some volume backing up and another volume not backing up. And clicking on these sorts these lists as well. For SPX, 7 backup jobs. It shows the number that are last successful with VSS. And if there are any that were last successful without VSS, that would show a number here as well. And how many last had an error. And similarly, last backup status, client, location, computer, computer ID, job name, the volumes backing up, the last time the job started, the last time it was successful, and the last success with VSS. All of these screens are also filterable based on client and location as well. If you set the client location and hit refresh, it will filter everything just to this client and this location. Clearing the filter and refreshing will put it all back. For Image Manager, we see how many managed folders there are, how many are okay, meaning they don't have a consolidation, verification, or retention error, and how many have errors. The number of replication jobs total, how many are okay, and how many are out of date. The detailed lists show for each managed folder which ones are okay, which ones are not okay. The client, the location, the computer name, ID, managed folder path, expand and contract these, the number of images, how much space is used, the free space percentage on the volume, and then whether there are any errors or not in these items. For replication jobs, we see which managed folder the job is for, and of course the client location and the computer ID, the replication job type, the least current volume of the replication job, the most current volume of the replication job, and whether it's up to date. And it'll show, for example, in this one, we have 3 of 3 volumes up to date. And if we have any consolidation, retention, or verification errors, we will see those down here in the bottom of this list as well. And using the menu, you can just show the individual pieces. And that is the overview of the StorageCraft Automate integration.